Gunslugs. It's now on Switch. It's the third Orangepixel game on Switch. We of course have Meganoid, Space Grunts, and Gunslugs. This week it was launched last Tuesday. Go check it out on the eStore, and if you're there, also check out Meganoid and Space Grunts, because that would help a lot for me keeping making these videos about game development and actually doing game development. So please get a copy of Gunslugs on Switch. It's been released on a lot of platforms in the past. I think this game has been on the most platforms, all my games, even Ouya, if you remember that one. Also on PS Vita, 3DS, Firefox OS, which had Firefox at some point wanted to create an operating system for smartphones. It went nowhere, but I had a couple of my games on there. So Gunslugs has been everywhere, and now it's on Switch, and this is of course the best version available right now. So check it out on Switch, and let's start the video. I'm going through the list of all the stuff I did this week, and it's been a very productive week, but I don't have a lot of visual stuff added to residual this week. I have some things that I can show you. We could start, let's start with data cards. Data cards are pretty much my vehicle to give story and information to the player. You're on a planet, you crashed on a planet with a lot of ancient technology, but nobody is there to explain it to you. There's actually nobody on the planet at all. So what happened? Data cards will tell you parts and pieces and bits and tiny things of the story. So it was about time to implement data cards, because it's also something I promised all the Kickstarters, or at least certain Kickstarters, to be able to write a little story or a little piece on that data card. So it might be possible that when you're playing the game and you run into a data card, you'll find a personal story from one of the Kickstarter backers. So let me first show you what I came up with by booting up the game and showing you the data cards. Now I'll cheat a little bit, because I can actually quickly locate data cards by using some development code in the little console. So let's find a first data card and move around a little bit. We'll get to these little things in a bit, because they're also now floating in the game. But first, let's go back to this data card. As you can see right here, it's hard to see these data cards, but I don't want them to be very clear to the player. You really have to explore and be adventurous and try to find them. So let's go for the data card, and it will open up, and all you see here is pretty much the start date, which is actually based on a number for the game. That I'll get to that later. This is a citizen ID, which is just a bunch of names I created. It's all random again. This message and the person who says it, it's just random. And here is one of the messages, and this is just a really rough version to see if it all works. And then of course we can close it and continue the game. Okay, so adding lore to the game is pretty much an extra layer that entertains players who are really into the game. It's gonna be not that interesting to people who are just trying out the game and not liking it that much, or just want to quickly run through it. But for those who really dig the game and really want to understand and see everything about the game, this is just a great extra layer to add to the gameplay. Right now I just have to figure out what the best way is to tell this story in bits and pieces. I haven't done that a lot. I've done it here and there in Ashworld and a few other games, but not at this level. So I've been doing research online and asking people, but I haven't really gotten to the conclusion on how to do this. But for now, we just have some stuff, and it's working. The functionality is there. We just have to improve it over time. So let me just show you the graphics and some of the code behind it. Alright, so graphic wise it's very simple. We have this as a pickable item, a collectible item. Not a lot of weird code is happening to this because it's just any of the pickup items, and that's just easy drawing. And then I had to come up with a big interface part, which is this. I'm not sure yet if this will stay in the game this way. It looks great, it looks cool, but it has this weird angle that doesn't really make any sense besides looking cool. And this is the dialogue part where the text will be drawn into. We have a couple of these dialogues. This is for the visor and the planet scanner, and this is for all the normal dialogues, and that way we have different type of interfaces but can use the same code to draw these dialogues, which saves a lot of work. And on the interface part, it's pretty simple. It's the gameplay, the current gameplay scene. Then we render some black on top of it to make it fade out a little bit, and then the interface on top of that, text on it. That's that. It's not a lot of, it's fairly easy. Let me show you. This is just all the code required, and this is just render it, draw the name at the top, draw the dialogue, and render the data card, the image of the data card, and that's the weird thing that might actually be removed. And then we render the dialogue text. And as soon as the player presses the action button, this all closes. It's fairly short and simple code, and it does the trick. A more interesting question is, where does all this text come from? For that, we have a file which contains all the text in the game. Item names, descriptions, all the interface names and labels. We could translate all this for different languages. So these are all the items that you can pick up, and that list is growing day by day because there's just a lot of stuff in the game that has a name and a description. And at the end of this long list, we have various names for groups, because certain items, like all the different type of fruit, will fall under a group. So the groups also have names. And then we have here all the hints and tutorial information that that little hovering bot is giving you, which is important stuff because most of this explains to the player what's happening and what to do. Then we have a couple of tutorial type texts, which are just very tiny hints and instructions where the player needs to press a button. We have some stuff that could have been removed already because this isn't used anymore. And way down at the bottom we now have different names to use in the data cards and different type of text for the data cards. And here we have the hologram information, which comes out of the statue that I showed last week. This kind of information will come from that. So there's two types of information to gain from the game, either from hologram statues or by just finding random data cards. Now last week I mentioned, talking about how I work on a big project like this, that I'm all over the place in any single week. The downside of that is that sometimes you add stuff to the game and you forget to activate it, and you actually forgot it was added to the game and that it's missing from the game. That's what happened to me this week. I found some code for creatures and entities that weren't really active, and they should have been active all along, but somehow they were just missing in action. Alright, so this creature right here, I've added this creature right before I started doing the procedural running creatures, and I actually forgot that this was added, and just noticed when cleaning up the code that it just wasn't alive and active anymore. And I kind of never noticed that this creature wasn't flying around anymore, and it just wasn't spawning the conditions that tell this creature, well, you can spawn here and there and then, and those were just not working or functioning correctly, which I fixed this week. So that's a very tiny thing but very important thing, because now we have these things flying around and they are important to the story of what's happening on this planet. So it was a little bit stupid that they weren't showing up and I didn't notice. Especially that last part was moving on. Or actually, I think this is it. Like I said, we have a very long list of stuff I did this week, but most of it isn't really visual, so I can't really show you much about it. It's just a bunch of improvement, and I've cleaned up a lot of code and removed a bunch of code that wasn't actually needed anymore. All preparing for this feature right here, save game. For that I need to make sure that everything we don't need isn't being saved, and everything we do need is working. So that's been a lot of cleaning and improvements and tweaks, and this version is available right now since last Friday for all the Kickstarters and the patrons, so make sure to update the game and play it. But other than that, I have been doing this. This is the wallpaper I have on my computer right now, and I've been placing wallpapers on the Discord because I added a little snapshot feature to the game that allows me to quickly create a little snapshot of the game, which is fairly obvious, I guess. And then you have a wallpaper, and I've been just uploading them to the Discord. So let me just go over the Discord, and we have residual here. I've been uploading wallpapers here, so if you'd like a residual wallpaper for free, jump on the Discord and I'll see you there, and I'll be posting them every now and then. I got a couple of these every week because, well, I run into awesome scenes in the game, and this is how I can share them with everybody that can't play the game just yet. So free wallpapers on the Discord. And that's it for this week's video. Hope you liked it. Again, lots of stuff done this week. Like, subscribe, comment below. If you have questions, also comment below, let me know, and I'll see you on the Discord or next week in next week's video. Let's do that. See you next week. Bye. Usually have 2 of these panels to light me up, but this one broke. So, if anybody has a spare aperture light panel, message me for the address. Okay, things break, that's normal.